the members of this ad hoc committee, the senior counsel and his team, retired General and former Minister Bheki Cele, good morning to you. Good morning. To the members of staff of Parliament and the members of the media. We want to take this opportunity and welcome all of you, and also welcome you, retired General. And I must also bring it to your attention up front that there are members of this committee, in the days that you were not here, they have demonstrated that they are unable to pronounce your surname. So I just want to apologize up front. When you hear one or two of our members saying Cele, you must know Cele is you. So I felt it appropriate that I must register the apology to you before you hear it. I'm going to hand over to the senior counsel. Yeah, well, maybe before I hand over to your SC, just indicate that Honorable James is going to join us later. That is the apology that we have for now. Senior counsel, can I...
Good morning.
Can I check with you if you want to assure us that the person who is appearing before us is the proper person?
There's only one General Cele. He's in front of us. We consulted with him, or Larato did, for 3 days, and we're satisfied that he's not an imposter and that he's indeed the man. So, with your leave, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, if you could please swear General Cele in as our next witness.
Okay. Thank you so much, Retired General. We are going to take you through the administration of oath. And before I do that, I just want to read the following to you, to inform you that you have been invited to appear before this ad hoc committee, which investigates allegations made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanasi, who is the Provincial Commissioner for the KwaZulu-Natal province. Our expectation is that you provide information to the ad hoc committee so that it is able to do its oversight work and properly investigate the allegations made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanasi. The allegations include, amongst others, alleged unlawful disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team, otherwise known as the NPKTT or the PKTT. alleged moratorium on the filling of vacancies within the South African Police Services and alleged corrupt relationship between senior leadership within SAPS and members of the public, as well as political interference in the work of the SAPS. In extending the invitation, the ad hoc committee chairperson has indicated that you may provide such information to the committee if you so wish under oath in terms of the powers, privileges and immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. You have indicated that you wish to take the oath so as to be afforded the protections as provided in the Powers and Privileges Act. Please be informed that by law, you are required to answer fully and satisfactorily all the questions lawfully put to you, or to produce any document that you are required to produce in connection with the subject matter of the inquiry, notwithstanding the fact that the answer or document could incriminate you or expose you to criminal or civil proceedings or damages. You are, however, protected in that evidence given under oath or affirmation before the House or committee may not be used against you in any court or places outside Parliament, except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required for these proceedings. Please be aware that in terms of Section 17.2 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, a person who willfully furnishes a House or committee with information or makes a statement before it which is false or misleading commits an offense and is liable for a fine or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years. Retired General, you are required to take an oath or affirm that the evidence you are about to give is truthful. You may choose to take the oath or affirmation. Which one do you choose?
I'll take the oath.
Thank you so much. If you take the oath, you will state your names in full and say, I swear that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and so help me God.
I, Bheki Hamilton Cele, I swear that the information I'll give will be the truth and the only truth. So help me God.
Thank you so much, Retired General. SC, I'm handing over to you. It will be until 13 hours.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, honourable members. Good morning, General. Good morning.
Good morning, SC, together with the honourable members.
And welcome, and thank you for your for your cooperation, despite, I think, some earlier media report that you weren't prepared to cooperate. We found you to be most cooperative, and when we arranged to meet you, you had no issues, no problem. You confirm that?
No, thanks for that. I was a little bit disturbed when the media said I'm not cooperating, especially one of the KZN paper had a big headline that Cele snaps the ad hoc.
Yeah.
I've never done that. Even the first cooperation, I came here with my own financial steam, buying my own ticket, my everything, but I still came here for consultation. Thanks.
I hope you get reimbursed. You know.
Maybe the chair will see to that. Yeah, I'll be glad because flights coming down here from Durban are not very cheap.
And just in terms of your designation, if we can just get that out of the way. I asked you earlier, we always ask you, do you prefer to be called General Cele, former Minister Cele? Because the designation General, that designation was conferred on you much earlier when you were the National Commissioner, and that was under a previous administration. You didn't give it to yourself.
No, I didn't give it to myself. The general of the South African police, at any given time with the police, there is one general. There can be others, but general is one. As at the present moment, there is one general in the police. This came after the decision taken by the former President Zuma, who invited all the station commanders in the country, in Pretoria, and said he did not like this thing the police called commissioners and superintendents. I remember seeing superintendents belongs to the hospital. Yeah. And then minister had to gazette the change of the ranks, and that's how these ranks came about. That the general actually is a director general of the South African police. And then there are lieutenant colonels, lieutenant generals. Those are deputy director generals. All lieutenant generals are deputy directors. And then there will be major generals. Those are chief directors on the normal government environment. Then there will be brigadiers. Most people that are not in this environment, they love this rank, brigadier. They think it's something big. It's just a director. It's just a director. And then you go down, then below director, there is a full colonel who happened to be a deputy director. Below, there is a lieutenant colonel who is an assistant director. And then
so
you go
it
down.
Was similar to the establishment in the public service administration.
Yes. But the question, do I want to? I know generals, that title doesn't fall. It's like ambassador. That title doesn't fall. Except that when you are written general in brackets, retired.
So do you want to be called retired General Cele?
That should be so, former minister, whatever it comes.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, former minister. You've been through your statement several times, and we've consulted you on it. So perhaps we've also been through the terms of reference, which you'll see quoted on page 3, General, page 3 and 4. And there's a number of paragraphs in the terms of reference that you able to assist the honourable members of the committee when it comes to interpreting them and applying them. For example, 4.1.1, political interference within SAPS, you can speak to that. Any related claim regarding corruption, financial or otherwise bribery, misuse of public resources within SAPS, evaluating the extent of misconduct and unethical behavior by the members of SAPS, you've been the minister mostly, so you definitely can assist with evaluating the effectiveness of the PKTT. You can't help us with the status of the dockets. You can perhaps cast some light on the instability in crime intelligence. You can speak to us about the alleged corrupt relationship between Minister Nkunu and Brown Mokgotsi, and between Mokgotsi and Vusumuzi Kat Matlala. You can perhaps assist us with some other aspects, leadership failures, and your own personal experience being in leadership positions in the police, both as a national commissioner and as a minister. Perhaps you can comment on the procurement process within SAPS and how that could be strengthened, because we know there's a lot of corruption in the procurement process. You can talk to us about the alleged existence of organized crime syndicate. You can also perhaps talk about the failure of any organ of state or member of the executive complying with their legal obligations. Your own experience with members of parliament and any allegations with regard to classified information, especially the leaking of classified information, and how that links with criminal syndicates. You could perhaps assist us commenting on how public trust can be restored in the police, given your experience and perhaps any conflicts of interest that within SAPS itself. We know that there's jurisdictional issues between national, provincial, between provincial and deputy national commissioners and their role that they play from head office, and the PKTT itself as a national unit, but largely focus on KZN, who has jurisdiction. So those are some of the issues you can assist us with. Would it be fair to say that, General? You've got to speak into the microphone. You're never a man short of words. The nodder's not going to pick. They're not going to pick it up.
No, that's fine.
Thank you. So you served as our Minister of Police from February 2018 until June 2024. You were not reappointed after the formation of the Government of National Unity in June 2024, but rather your successor, Minister Nkunu, was appointed. Now, before that, you had also served as a National Commissioner for 2 years until there were misconduct allegations against you. You were suspended in October 2011 and then removed in June 2012. Do you want to tell us about that?
No, thanks. Thanks on
If you do need some assistance, it's in your statement. But I'm sure you can,
I'll look at the
from
assistance,
memory, yeah.
But I also deal with the assistance that I know. Thanks. Thanks, honorable members and all that are present. I think all my life has been on security matters. After elections in '94, I was a member of the legislature in KZN, and I was the first chair of the Safety and Security Portfolio Committee in that province. And I held other positions as chair of chairs and all that, but the main one was that I was a chair of the Safety and Security Portfolio Committee. That was a province which was very violent and a lot of turbulence even after elections. I'm sure the members that come from that province will remember that. When the violence, otherwise mainly political violence, subsided nationally, in KZN did not. There were still some killings. The major killing was on the 25th December 1995. Remember, we've gone for election in '94. In a place called Shoba Shobane, when 19 people were killed on the 25th of December. I'm sure everybody knows what is the 25th of December. So violence went on at a mass level, but later it got a little bit an organized kind of violence. So when one became the National Commissioner, had to look at the mandate of the Constitution, what you're supposed to do, to try and keep South Africans safe and do things in a way that they're supposed to put South Africans first and put them safe and all that. So I was approached to be a National Commissioner of the South African Police. I must say, I did not agree initially. I did not like it. I was comfortable because I was an MSc in KZN by that time, MSc of Security and Transport. So for me, province was nice and comfortable. I was not very much keen to go national. I remember when I was approached by the president, which I think is his constitutional prerogative to appoint national commissioners, I said to him, Baba, I'm not very keen, but unless you say you are instructing me, so I'll do it. And he said, I'm instructing you. I said, okay, then I'll take the instruction. And I became then the National Commissioner, I think it was June 2009.
Who was then Minister of Police?
The Minister of Police was Mthethwa, the late Mthethwa. May his soul rest in peace. And then I went to be introduced. I was supposed to start 3 months earlier, but JK, who was the National Commissioner, had not been told, and the statute says you must be told 3 months before if you are not going to be appointed again as a National Commissioner. So that's what delayed my appointment, that it came in July 2009. So as it came, I was introduced in Mahlambandlovu. All generals were invited. You could see that there was some shock in some other generals that who is this outcomer who comes here when they're on general. But one adapted quite quick, and the working relationship with all the generals was very cordial, with except a few. Fortunately, we had a target, we had a focus to work towards. That was World Cup 2010. So we had a very little time to do other things, but we had to make sure that 2010 is safe. One worked with everybody that found there, especially in the headquarters where Masimula would be part of them. General Brace was there, General Libia was there, General Cruiser was there, and General Mafume was there. I guess she's Shivambu now. Were there. So General Hlela from Eastern Cape. These generals you find there, they were from different disciplines of policing. They were from Bantustans and from the original SAPF, South African Police Force. They've been put together mostly by Bheki Cele, and that's why you've got 2 days to celebrate in the South African Police. It's the first Sunday of September, where you remember all the fallen heroes, especially those that have fallen in the line of duty. And then you have the 27th of January, where you celebrate the finding of the South African Police Service from the force. So you could see that there were still tendencies of where people come from and all that, but we had a project to work on, which made life much easier, working towards 2010.
Was then Brigadier Mkhwanazi, was he also part of your team?
Brigadier Mkhwanazi was quite a junior at the time, as you say, Brigadier. But for some reason, I found myself working quite close with him. In 2010, when I think the World Cup was supposed to start on the 9th of June, if I'm not mistaken, when I was in PE, launching the TROT, known as Amabaret, I was phoned by the president of SAFA, Danny Jordan, to say that there is a crisis coming on, and then can I see you with immediate effect? So I know that we'll be discussing immediate a long time.
Yes, and did you meet him immediately or some months afterwards?
So he said, "Can I see you immediately?" So I saw him that day. That immediately was that day when I saw him. I flew from PE straight to OR. I find him seated there with Valk. I forget his first name. Valk was the Secretary General of FIFA.
Jerome Valk.
There was a problem. This was around March now. There was a problem that the World Cup is being taken away from South Africa. There was a big clash between Valk and FIFA President Blatter to say, you said the cup must go to South Africa, and there is a lot of crime in South Africa. There were 2 countries that they said they were ready to host. That was Australia and Germany. Remember, Germany had hosted it previously. So we spoke with the president to say, how can we save the World Cup? It was on the score that I assembled the team of generals and the police, and we went to Zurich to make the president. To be honest, the nation does not know that South African Police Service saved 2010. Without that meeting, without us going to Zurich and making presentation, with all participating countries, sometimes with their heads of security, it took us a long time. General Brace made a good presentation. Among those, most of them were generals, except 3 that were brigadiers. Mkhwanazi was part of that. Mkhwanazi had come in because he was responsible for ORS. This is a response services, which puts together all special services, special forces of the South African Police. Is your special task team. Now it will be NIU. There are CATs under there, and there are TROT. That time, there was no TROT, and I think there were no CATs. Specifically, it was Special Task Force and NIU. Then Mkhwanazi was part of that. And for some reason, we worked quite closely with him. I'll come back what happened as he becomes the first or the acting National Commissioner. So we made the presentation there. All countries were saying, are not going to go to South Africa. The people that were leading that rebel were British. And clearly, if British could not come to the World Cup in South Africa, many people were going to join them. until at the later stage we were supported by Brazil and all that. And Germany was very vocal to say we are ready. And remember, they have launched it previously. So from that meeting, fortunately, there was a meeting, a General Assembly of Interpol in Loins, in France. So we had to fly there to convince the Interpol to say it's safe to come to South Africa, so that the campaign of safety and coming to South Africa is not just pushed by South Africans alone, but is also pushed by Interpol. That's how then we managed to work on the 2010 coming to South Africa. So that's why I'm saying that we had a project to work on, so we had not much time of differences among and between ourselves as officials in that particular time. And finally, 2010 did come in South Africa.
Yeah. I think most, if not all, South Africans are indebted to the work done by the police during 2010. It was probably the high point of the trust that people had in the police. Or maybe the so that there was a high level of trust, or maybe the crooks and the robbers just took a break in 2010, watching football. But seriously, it was a high point in this country. But for you, the honeymoon was over in October 2011 when you were charged with some misconduct. Just tell us briefly about that, and also then your removal.
Yes, it is true. I think we continue to work very well as a South African police. Quite several benchmarks. For instance, we managed to establish what is known as subset. South African Police Service Education Trust was established at that time under that management. It's quite big today. I know that its job was to help the young orphans produced by the death of the officers that dying on the line of duty. So those were things to do. One other thing was the well-being and welfare of the police. We wanted to see them fit. They behave better. So we also negotiated. South African police, even today, they've got a special reduction of about 20 to 30% with Virgin Active in the country. It was negotiated at the time to work on that. So quite good things happened in that time, working with the collective of the management in that particular time. One report we received was the fact that the Waghuis is a headquarters of the South African police in Pretoria, was condemned as a building dangerous. For instance, if you go there on the rainy days down, there is just the Mississippi River water, the stagnant there, and all that kind of stuff, and the lifts are not working, but every office is then overpopulated with paper, so it was condemned. We had to get the new premises. So it is on that score that I signed the need. What happens? The director generals of different departments, they sign their needs when it comes to the acquiring the property, and they hand over that to Public Works. So that's what happened. So Public Works had to negotiate further how we get the building. So for some reason, it was alleged that one had done wrongly when I followed the same thing. So the public protector then was put on working on the matter. Public protector recommended that the minister had to take the action against the national commissioner, that is Mthethwa Thucela. But the president did not see it that way. President wanted to put the commission to look at the fitness of the commissioner to the office in that particular time. And then, funny part of it is that in September, I visited the president. We spent 45 minutes, and I briefed him to say the next day I was going to go to Mpumalanga to launch the safety season. And the president, we spent 45 minutes, and then he said goodbye to me. He said it in Sizulu, "Tuhambe kahle mfana kithi." So I didn't know that I was going forever. But and then I left. He said he was busy meeting some people. What I didn't know is that those people who I was busy with, they were discussing my suspension. And then, as I was at work in Mpumalanga, I remember we arrested somebody with a big bag of dagga. The journalist came to me and asked me, "What do you want here? Because you are suspended." I said, "No, I'm not suspended." They said, "No, you are suspended." I checked with the staff. If they check, I was told that at 2:15, the president has in live TV read my suspension on TV. So I was supposed to go there with Mkhwanazi to that operation, but I don't know what time. In the morning, I was told that Mkhwanazi was not going to come because he has been phoned the previous night.
He is now the acting national commissioner.
No, he was phoned the previous night that he must not go, he must go and see the minister. So the rest is that then he was to be made the acting national commissioner, which means minister and the president, they know that they are going to suspend me, but they allowed me to go and be suspended on the field. And as I was busy working. So as I came back, I was then suspended national commissioner. But the announcement was made as part of suspension that Judge Mohoro would lead the commission that will check the fitness of the office. And then one had to sit and wait for that time to come. But at a later stage, it was changed from Mohoro, and it was made Moloi from Free State. And I was told that the minister phoned the president and told him that the minister was too close to Judge Mohoro because she was working as one of the trustees of the Education Trust, which was chaired by Smangaliso Mkajwa. So they felt that he was too close. Maybe he would be biased towards Cele. That's why they changed and they brought Moloi from Free State. I must say that commission was very much loaded against me. For instance, a person that has been my main accuser was Hlela, who used to be a commissioner of the South African, or who used to be a commissioner of police in Ciskei. And the prosecutor there was Noche, who used to be the minister of police in Ciskei. So Hlela and Noche were coming from Ciskei and they were prosecuting me. But one person that was there was Judge Madanga, who was one of the leaders of the...
He was the evidence leader.
Yes. And then finally the decision was taken. I was found not to be fit for the office, and then I guess in 2012, then I was fired.
But we know that you subsequently challenged that decision, you took it on review, and it was granted in the High Court, although it was not opposed by the South African Police or the Minister of Police, and you were then cleared. But just to backtrack a bit, what would have been the motivation, to your knowledge, for your initial suspension and the subsequent inquiry that was instituted into your alleged misconduct?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it will be accumulation of being delinquent, because there were orders that I refused to take. Maybe the first one was to suspend Mdluli. Mdluli was suspended by me.
Richard Mdluli.
Yeah, Richard Mdluli was suspended.
Was he the head of crime intelligence
Yes.
at the time? Yeah.
Funny enough, Mdluli was employed June when I was coming in July. And funny enough, is the only Lieutenant General I know that was interviewed by the panel of ministers. Usually it will be the officials, the DGs and all, but he was, I think, if I remember, there were about three of them. The one I remember was Mtetwa and Cele and the others. So he came there before the National Commissioner came. So that created some problem between the National Commissioner and the head of intelligence. And the head of intelligence mostly would be reporting direct to the president, which I don't think is a problem, but also reporting to the minister, which then I think is a problem, because it's a national commissioner that is supposed to be reporting to the minister. The second one, I remember that both the minister and deputy minister was Deputy Minister Mbalula and Mtetwa. They came to me and they said they've been sent by the president and instructed them to tell me to fire General Shabalala. Sean Shabalala was the head of PSS. I didn't have the reason of firing him. Instead, I shifted him from PSS to IT, where he went to grow the IT of the South African Police. So there were quite some few of those things that I thought it would not be proper to follow all those instructions. I remember that one brigadier, Tau, he was fired when he was in Algiers en route to France in preparation of the trip of the president, and I refused that he must be fired on that way without following. So I would guess, this is my guess, that it was accumulation maybe of being transigent in some matters. It came to that, but I believe that the building issues had less or nothing altogether to do with that kind of firing.
So after you you were dismissed in 2012, thereafter you went back into or took up political office again after that as a deputy minister of agriculture.
That was 2014.
Yeah.
After election. Well, there is an argument that people will say that the president was kind to me to take me back as a deputy minister of agriculture. Actually, that's the only time that I was out of the security establishment. I don't think so. I think either the people of South Africa or the ANC did take me back to Parliament. I remember that I was almost number one to every list that ever existed. Provincial to national. National was number 10 and all. So there was no way that I guess somebody would have been ignored. And I remember that Minister Senzo Mchunu was going to be premier of KZN, and he went to the president to request that I go back to province so that we can strengthen the province. The president said no, he needed me nationally because he was going to give me a very crucial job. And indeed, I was the Deputy Minister of Agriculture. It was quite crucial because one was looking after fish and forest. So, after that, then there were elections, or there was a conference of the ANC which changed the guard, and Ramaphosa became the president. And then we went for the election, and President Ramaphosa, and then appointed me then on February 2018. Remember, that was still the 5th administration. It was not 6th administration yet. It was the 5th. So I became the minister on the 5th administration for the first part of the year before we went for elections for the 6th administration. So there where then the question of this political killing task team comes in, because it was formed in the 5th administration, not on the 6th administration.
So, before we come to your tenure as Minister of Police, can we just discuss or get your views briefly about the allegations that gave rise to this, the establishment of this ad hoc committee, the allegations made on the 6th of July by General Mkhwanazi, when he raised a number of what was clearly very serious issues within the South African Police Service. And given that you had spent a considerable time in the service, both as a National Commissioner and as a Minister, it would be of interest to us to hear how your response was at the time, if any. What did you think? Can you just discuss that briefly?
Yes, I was at the gym when I was phoned. That's the
at the gym.
Yes.
Are you still got the 20%?
No, that was for the junior officers, not for ministers and the top brass. Those they don't have 20%. That comes from colonel down to the constables. So they still do, but I don't. Even as a pension, I still pay a full amount. So I was at the gym when I was told that the Provincial Commissioner of KZN, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, is making the appearance there. So fortunately, I was towards the end, so the gym is not far from where I stay. So indeed, I found him on the screen. But I could see that he was in a full gear, a full gear of special task force with some members of task force and the members of NUU, and almost all district commissioners were seated, if not all, maybe one or two. And I guess there would be about 11 districts in KZN. So they were there. So I listened, and quite a big statement that was made on that particular day. And I knew some of the things that he would have said, and I would not know some of the things, as there would be more of operation. But I realized that one of the major problems was the issue of a task team that was dismantled. But I also knew that the task team has been dismantled because I saw the letter of the 31st December 2024, which I must say, personally was taken aback the letter for several things that one can explain how it happened.
Did these allegations made by General Mkhwanazi during the press briefing, did it surprise you? Did it take you aback? What was your reaction?
Well, some surprised me, especially when he called SBI a criminal. That surprised me. But look, I'm not a police officer, so I would not know what is an investigation, what makes a police call the police that way. But whatever was said, I felt it had to be investigated further to find the facts on the matter. But in the portion that I did not know was the group of officers that have been sent to assist the investigations in Gauteng. I did not know that, which is not a problem because as a minister, there are operations that you know, there are operations that you don't know. There are quite operations that are covert, that very few would know, that is accepted and known to the police. And there are those that they can be initiated by the minister because the communities have raised that issue. But the minister cannot go establish or disestablish. So you still have to go through the National Commissioner for establishment and disestablishment. So there are a few of those that I will remember. By the way, this one is part of it, though on a larger scale, because it was announced by the president, calling the interministerial. But there are some of them. For instance, if you go to Operation Thunder was changed later to be Operation Lockdown, the biggest. I don't have figures of finances, but I can assure you that is not cheap, because while I was still there, in 25 months, we paid 116 million for that operation. And it has not been scaled down ever since up to this point, though it has changed the name. It's still continuing here in Western Cape as Operation Lockdown. So it's an operation where almost every second month, all those police SC, they live in the hotels, 200 of them, and there was a negotiated price for them to be, which was 800 rands a night for a single police in the hotels. So you would imagine that is expensive for 200 people to sleep 800 rand a night in the hotel from 2018 up to this point, because it's still continuing. So it's not true that it's only PKT that has been operating and paying money for. There are other operations that have happened. This Operation Thunder is one big of them. One most